Hey everyone, MJ Gordon here. Welcome back. So today I want to talk to you about 5 unconventional ways that I am a minimalist. Now, minimalism is an amazing practice of identifying what actually adds value to your life so you can focus on your priorities. But it shows up differently for all of us, right? We're also colorful, and there's so many different ways that we can practice this. And the beautiful thing is there's no right or wrong. You just need to be firmly honest with yourself what truly adds value. So the first thing that I'm going to share, I'm just going to throw myself under the bus, and I'm sorry because a lot of you guys are not going to like me for this, but one of the first things that I'm okay with letting go of are my pets. I do have pets, and I keep 2 dogs and a cat, and we have chickens that we cycle through. But we have been known occasionally, semi-regularly, to foster dogs. And most of the time the dogs come to rehabilitate with us or find a temporary home whilst they're waiting for their forever home. Oftentimes we help place these dogs or help find their homes, etc. But more recently, we picked up a dog that we decided we would keep for ourselves. Now, she was in a predicament, and she had a lot of training and a lot of catch up to do in terms of vaccinations, getting spayed, and just learning the basics of being a dog. And what happened was, in our situation, my husband ended up in the hospital, which he often does, given a chronic condition that he has that causes his intestines to twist up. But it's been about 5 years since that happened. And in the same year, he also tore his ACL completely and needed a repair surgery. So things were a little bit crazy, and I finally decided, why am I doing this? This is not the right time. And so I rehomed her. Now, here's my caveat to rehoming your pets. It's just my rule of thumb that wherever I send the pets to in their new home, it has to be an equivalent situation or greater. Now, that's a lot to ask. We're home all the time. We spend a lot of time with our pets and our children and here at the house. And so I thought it would be impossible to find the perfect home for her. And I know that this is just like call it a sign of the universe or whatever when this thing happens, but somebody came, snagged her up right away. She was perfect. She ended up using our dog as a service dog, getting her certified. Her partner is a vet. They have 10 acres. It's more space than we do. They're home all the time, and this dog's gonna go with her everywhere she goes. I ended up finding out that she actually works with one of my really good friends, and my friend was like, this is amazing. It was like full circle, and I just knew that we had found her the absolutely right home. At the end of the day, if it comes to your mental health, your financial well-being, or your ability to show up 100% for you, your family, your kids, and for the pet itself, you have to really consider if this is the right and appropriate space and time for that animal. Otherwise, if they're going to be able to get a better quality of life with somebody else, not saying that your quality of life is bad. And this is something that I really had to wrestle with, because I'm like, I can provide this dog a perfectly good home. We are a good family. But to be okay with being honest and saying, but I think she could be better off, and to take the responsibility to make sure that happens, that is between you, yourself, and your family. And nobody should judge you for that. Like, really, at the end of the day, it comes down to how you can live the best life you can be so you can show up as the best person you can be and not be obligated to all these things that materialistically or societally are placed on you. So the next way that I'm an unconventional minimalist is that I will use disposables. Not all the time, but for instance, if we're having a bunch of people over and I just don't feel like doing the dishes later. Of course, I try to get some biodegradable like wood or recycled plates and stuff, but sometimes it's just not in the cards for me to do all these dishes. Like, I would just rather have them put in a disposable bin, and then I can compost it, recycle it, bury it in my giant yard, and then feel good about not having to spend hours cleaning and doing dishes or having other people help me do that, because most of my guests are super nice and would help. And we just focus on quality time during that time together. And that kind of rolls into number 3 for me, which is often I just won't cook. And it doesn't mean that people are gonna come over and starve, but a lot of times I'll say, hey guys, you wanna come over? We're gonna order from sushi. We're gonna have Chinese. And then I will make like a little something like a special salad or a special side dish that's kind of like my special treat that I'm contributing. But if it's my treat overall, and sometimes I just prefer to cater or just order out. It's completely unconventional when inviting people over for dinner, but typically the reason I want to invite them over for dinner is not because of my brilliant chef skills, but it's to just eat, commune, and like have quality time together. And I am just so stressed when I'm worried about cooking and making sure everything's warmed up on time, etc., that not too long ago I've just decided that sometimes if I don't feel like it, I'm just not gonna cook. The fourth unconventional minimalism thing that I practice is just not caring about people's opinions and their obligations towards when I need to show up, how often I need to call, like how frequently we're connecting. I know that relationships take time. And what's most important for me is to cultivate the relationships that are right here present in my life and that are pressing me towards my priorities and goals. Those relationships would be with my partner and spouse, my kids, my family, my neighbors, my team, and my business. Those are the relationships that I prioritize most. And to be honest, there's so much going on that it is difficult to have more than 10 really solid, committed relationships that you just pour your heart and soul into. And so if you're not part of that, like 10, or what I call like my close circle, then it doesn't mean I don't appreciate you. It doesn't mean that I don't want to be your friend. It just means that I only have so much of me to give, like 100% of me. And I don't want to show up half-assed or kind of barely trying to maintain a relationship. That's not the kind of relationships I want to have. So I like to stay connected to people, but if they invite me to their wedding or to some party or to some get together with their kids, and it just doesn't simply fit within my interests, my lifestyle, or my schedule, I just don't have a hard time saying no. So this last one's a little bit weird, but I thought it'd be fun to share because I noticed this pattern in me. And the first side of that pattern is that I absolutely love when my stuff gets trashed. Okay, let me explain this. So what I mean by this is, like, one time my mom bought me a backpack and it was a gift, and she was kind of like, this is like a weird backpack, like it's $50, like, and it's just like a basic school bag. And I know like school bags are like expensive nowadays, but I didn't grow up like really wealthy with my mom. So she was like, why are you spending $50 on a backpack? But she got me this bag and it's like fully canvased. And long story short, that bag is like probably 10 years old now, and it's faded and it's worn and the leather is like cracking and it's dirty, it's discolored, and it's no longer stiff, like it just sags like a soft sock. But I absolutely feel so much satisfaction from that. I know that because it was difficult for her to want to spend the $50, that this backpack has gotten so much love and use over the years that I have a hard time letting that go. It's provided so much value to me that there's a part of me that's like, how much more value can this take me? Like, how far can we go without having to buy another backpack? And that is so satisfying to me. On the other end, when I buy something, it doesn't matter how much it costs or how nice it is or like what people might think or the potential value it has. If I don't like it, this is the absolute opposite effect. I would just rather let it go, give it to somebody else who's super excited about it, resell it, than have it sit on my shelf as this glorified unused object. And really, I've had to learn this lesson because it was always so difficult for me to invest money on something. And that's just what happens sometimes. You're like, this is a good idea. I want to invest money on this, and you do. And it's like, wah, wah, like, didn't really turn out as great as I thought. And in fact, I started using it and it sucked, or I started using it and it broke and it didn't last long. So if I don't love something, I'd rather not have that like wah wah moment and just let the item go. And plain and simple, if it lasts and it looks junky, I don't care. I just love it for all the value that it's provided me. So these are wacky and unconventional ways, and minimalism has a lot of subjectivity to it. But one of the best ways that you can really identify what works in your life is getting to know yourself. And in my Level Up program, we have a 3P process. It's called the 3XP equals UV, which means that 3XP equals an upgrade in value. And the 3Ps are to first process. You have to process things. You have to take inventory. You have to really think about what your process is in life and what things support that process. And you have to go through the process of figuring out whether it works for you. One of these things for me was buying secondhand or sustainable clothing. I still buy a lot of secondhand and sustainable clothing, but one of the areas that I realized do not buy sustainable clothing on was like underwear and socks. Reason being is I was replacing these things every year. They weren't lasting. And that felt more wasteful than actually just buying a really high quality, new, non-sustainable piece of underwear that was gonna last me for 5+ years. So once you go through your process, you want to purge everything else that doesn't support your process. It doesn't seem to fit the process. And then you want to take the time to be purposeful thereafter. Either be purposeful with the space you've created by diving deeper into the things that give you purpose and that your life's purpose is about, or fill it with something that is an upgrade, your next level up. So for instance, one of the purposes that I did after I purged extracurricular activities, I purged doing martial arts this year so that I can purposefully use my Peloton more. So instead of going to these martial arts classes, I just started scheduling Peloton classes from my home. This was more efficient. I still got my exercise. Now my fancy bike equipment is getting a lot of use, and this really fits well into my life elements. Ultimately, that's the goal. It's identify your key elements so that you could live a more purposeful, fulfilled life, so that you can focus on your passions and the things that are important to you without sacrificing other things on the back end or the back burner, like your personal goals or quality time with family or time for you to breathe and self-care. So I have an ongoing case study that I'm currently opening up 5 more seats for 5 more people to work with. If that's something you're interested in, learning how to use this process to get to your next level of business, life, success, and fulfillment, check out the invitation link in the description below. And if you like these kind of videos that help you get to your next level, get you more time, energy, and success and fulfillment, make sure you subscribe to my channel, give me a hit on that like button, and let me know in the comments how you liked it, if there's anything else that I can help you with along your journey. Thanks for catching this video, and I'll check you in the next one.